Hi everyone, welcome to Cookbook Kitchenette. I'm Heather, and this is a YouTube channel where I feature different vintage cookbooks. I make a recipe from them and I talk about some of the history and some of the food trends at that time when the cookbook came out, just going over why you may see some of these recipes that you do. So this week I have one of my favorite cookbooks in my vintage cookbook collection, and this is Good Meals and How to Prepare Them, a guide to meal planning, cooking, and serving from the Good Housekeeping Institute. So if you can see that one there, this one is from 1927, was when it was first published. So 1927, I will start off by saying I am in no means a historian. I am just interested in learning more about food trends in different eras and learning more about why people ate certain things and why you might see different recipes featured. So in this one, 1927, World War I had just ended a few years prior, and the Spanish flu had just ended. So at this time, we see a lot of, as you can expect, people wanted to get out and start entertaining, start seeing people again, start partying, hosting. So you see a lot of entertaining recipes. People were excited to get back together after having to stay separate during the Spanish flu, and also during World War I it wasn't really like a partying time. So in 1927 you do see a lot more entertaining recipes and like hors d'oeuvres, that sort of thing. Another thing was, during World War I, the canning process, people started canning a lot more. It was seen as like a patriotic sort of thing to can and preserve and save food. So a lot more people were canning and preserving. They were interested in canned goods. And so at that time, 1927 was the first canned ham product. So Hormel came out with the first canned ham product, which is actually, I've never cooked with anything like this before, so I'm excited to, but I'm going to be making something with canned ham. So I'm going to be making an entertaining recipe and a product with canned ham. So this is potato and ham croquettes. I'm going to roughly follow the recipe. I am not great at following recipes, I'll be honest with you. I more get the idea, but I'm going to try to follow the recipe as great as I can and share that recipe with you. So if you want to learn how to make potato and ham croquettes, follow along here, it will follow. Thank you. Okay, so I've got my hands washed, I got my hair up, and I'm ready to cook. So first things first, it says to add 2 egg yolks to 1 cup of cooked ham, which I have my flaked ham here. Just add that together and slightly cook it 2 minutes. So I'm going to start that. So I've got my 2 egg yolks. One of them has broken here a little bit. 1 cup of ham. So I'm just going to put in the whole thing. It feels right. It doesn't look that great, but it smells good, so. Just gonna break it up. So it says to keep it stirring constantly. And I just have this on low. It doesn't say anything about salt and pepper. I'm going to add pepper though because I feel like it needs it. Adding some salt for good measure. Now that they're combined and heated, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to set this aside and let it cool. I've got my breadcrumbs here. And then I've got my mostly egg whites. the egg whites, we put a 1/4 cup of additional water. Now that the ham mixture has cooled, it says to shape it into small balls. So I have this little spoon that I'm going to use to shape it into small balls. And then after you do that, you cover it with cooked mashed potatoes. So I have my cooked mashed potatoes here, which I made yesterday. But you know, if you ever have a big meal, this is a great option for using up leftover mashed potatoes. So I'm going to make these little balls, and then I'm going to cover each of them in mashed potatoes. So I have this larger spoon that I think I'm gonna just try to, I might need another spoon. I'm gonna use this to get the mashed potatoes, and then I'll press a little hole in it, and then I'll put my ham mixture inside, and then I'll put a little bit more mashed potatoes on top. They're turning out a bit large, but it's okay. Now, how to get it out? Maybe I should just do this with my hands. That's a big one. I'm gonna do this with my hands. My hands are clean, so it's easier. So I'm gonna do that with each of the croquettes. And then once I complete that, we'll move on to the next step. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're a little bit different size, and I'm sure I made them too large because it says it serves 6, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it. Okay, so the next step after you have your ham mixture covered with your mashed potatoes, you're gonna move on to breading them in a breadcrumb. So I've prepared my mostly egg whites. It's supposed to be just egg whites, but mostly egg whites with a bit of water and the breadcrumbs. So it says first to roll it in the breadcrumbs, and then in the egg white, and then in the crumbs again. So that's what I'm gonna do. So rolling in the breadcrumbs, and then the egg whites, and then back to the breadcrumbs. I'm just gonna set those on the other side of the tray. Now that I have all my breadcrumbs breaded and ready to be fried, I'm gonna set up my Dutch oven and get to frying. Okay, so now I have my vegetable oil prepared in my Dutch oven here. I have my thermometer to make sure I'm at the right temperature, and I am going to fry each of these, and we'll see how it goes. I'm a little bit nervous of frying, especially with an induction cooktop. They tend to go a lot quicker, so that's why I'm using the thermometer. But it says to do it at the cookbook says to fry it at 390 Fahrenheit, so we're gonna see how high I can get it before I get nervous. I might do 350. Turns out my thermometer only goes up to a certain heat, so I'm just gonna put them in and try. Here goes nothing. I'm gonna try not to crowd them in the pan. So we just fry them till they're golden brown, and I'll turn them as they fry. so I'm just on my last 4 croquettes here. And once they're done, I would serve them with like a mayo and mustard dip. Like get some grainy mustard, some mayo, maybe a little lemon juice or white wine vinegar, and mix that all together, and then I would use that as a dip because the ham, I think it would go really well. It doesn't really say anything about a dip in the cookbook, but I think that would be a nice addition. There we have it. We have our potato croquettes, and they turned out nice and crispy. They look a lot like arancini. So I'm excited to dig into those. And again, I'd make a dip to go along with it. This is the potato and ham croquettes from our 1927 cookbook, one of my favorites. Let me know if you end up making this recipe or something similar. I would love to hear your experience with it. This was my first time making this recipe. And a lot of the recipes that I share, it will be my first time making them. I mean, I've looked through all the cookbooks many a time, but I'm excited to get cooking with them. Thank you for following along. I hope you'll subscribe if you are a cookbook fan or if you love cooking. I would love to hear what you think of this video and what kind of era or maybe what kind of recipes you'd like to see next. I'd love to hear from you. It's hot. I'm gonna break one so we can see. Ooh, that looks good. Yeah. Again, it'd be great with like, I don't know, maybe even a cream sauce or mustard, but it's excellent. Very good. Well, that's it for today. Thank you.